It's card number 137 from the 1953 Bowman Color set. It's Sam Denty from those Chicago White Sox. Shout out to Mitchell, the White Sox fan card collector, and Jason, everyday card collector. It's a White Sox player, so we have to mention those guys. I remember when I picked up this card, as I did with every card in this set, I looked up the player and learned a little bit about their background. And I remember reading about Sam Denty that when he was traded, fans would hold up signs that said, "We'll win plenty with Denty." And I absolutely loved that and added that to the video. You might have noticed it in the background. Sam Denty did everything but pitch and catch for the White Sox during the 1952 season, which is impressive for Sam, but might be a sign of problems with the White Sox. He played every infield position and also appeared in 6 games as an outfielder. And by 53, the White Sox were his 4th major league team. So one last look at Sam. If it is card number 137, it must be session number 137. Good Lord. Of Card Room Live. And if you're excited and you're expecting a lot of professionalism and a lot of organization and planning and thoroughness, I have got some bad news. This is not a show. I like to lower those expectations. This is a hangout for fellow vintage collectors, whether we have guests or not. And we do have 2 guests, and they're patiently waiting for me to get through all of this. No matter whether we have guests or not, we try to make this a waste of time looking at and talking about cardboard, but we always try to make it time well wasted. We try to make it a good time. And we've done a pretty good job of it over the past 4 years. If you're here with us live, welcome to you. Welcome to my fellow YouTubers. Welcome to the folks from all over social media land, the commenters, the collectors. If you're here and you're new, introduce yourself to the chat. Introduce yourself at the bar. You're among cardboard friends. And if we don't know your name, we soon will, because this is the live stream where everybody knows your name. If you're listening to this later, however, you might be going to or coming home from work. You might be sorting cards, looking at eBay, rolling out the meatballs, walking the dog, sitting on the john, putting the kids to bed. Maybe you're battling raccoons in the backyard. It's a long story. Maybe you're wondering, like my buddy Doug at DK Cardboard, if you're just hanging on to baseball cards as a distraction to what would otherwise be an existential crisis about the human condition. I totally really connect with that idea, Doug. Maybe you're wondering if Eddie Wakis is going to come up. He probably won't, but you never know. You might be wondering what other kind of Mike foolery we're going to get into tonight. Well, shout out to Mike, the sports history collector, who can't be here tonight, but maybe he'll be listening to this later. And Mike, I'm sure you'll come across some Mike foolery. Whatever you're doing, I hope you get something out of it. If you want to get in touch, or you have ideas for future sessions, or you want to nominate a fellow collector to be a guest on Card Room Live, you can email me at bowman53channel@gmail.com. You can also find me on Instagram, bowman53_Alex, on X 1953 Bowman Color, and on Blue Sky Bowman53. And of course, all that information can be found in the description below. This session of Card Room Live is brought to you by Red Heart Dog Food. That's right, Red Heart Dog Food. Our friend Stan the Man Usual says that you should feed your dog Red Heart, the big league of dog food. It's available in beef, liver, and fish flavors. And if mom picks up some Red Heart dog food at the local grocer, you might be able to send away for some beautiful baseball cards As our friend Mookie likes to say, choosy dogs choose Cardroom Live, and they choose Red Heart Dog Food. So, with all of that having been said, good evening to everybody. A couple of quick announcements before I check the bar. The first thing I want to say is, for those of you that were busy returning from the National last weekend, maybe you were on your way to the airport, or you were at the airport, or you were on a flight, or you were happily in bed, sleeping it off at home. Last Sunday night, we had a fantastic session of Cardroom Live with the author of One Splendid Season. I'm going to hold up the book, Baseball in America in 1912. This book recently came out, I think as recently as a month ago. The author, Phil Rosenzweig, was with us, took us through the book, had a great conversation with Phil. So if you missed that session, I encourage you to go check that out. It was a lot of fun to chat with Phil about that and learn a little bit about the Hassan triple folder set. Let's check who's in the chat. Jacob is first and here. Ruben is here. We've got a wrench holder. Stuke is here. And he's handing out the Jello shots. Mike J. Hawker Vintage Cards is here. Mike Good is here. The Baseball Time Traveler is here. Rob, good evening to you. Drew from Clean Cheap Shots is here. Drew, good to see you. Peacemaker Cards is here. And let's see. I scrolled the wrong way. Steven with a PH is here. Good to see you, Steven. Orlando, of course, is here. What's up, Orlando? Always good to see you. Mark's Dodgers Cards is here. There's Mr. Mookie Schultzen. Wawa. I don't understand what there is to debate there. There's no debate there. It's Wawa. That's no contest. Mark is not making meatballs, but we'll be working on a 5-dish Italian meal. So there's that. I don't think I'm going to add that to the list, Mark, but you did get rolling the meatballs on the list. Lonely Basement Baseball Cards is here. Let's see. Yeah, thank you for backing me up here. Mr. Tony Psyched on Baseball Cards is here. Another wrench holder, Reindeer Studios is here. Low grade, no grade, vintage. Haven't gotten to say that in a while. Good to see you, man. Mr. Everyday Baseball Card Collector Jason is here. Reese ND Card Ranger, as I always like to say, the very first person to ever comment on a Cardroom Live video 137 sessions ago or so is here. Melissa is here. Good to see you. And there's a handful of other people here. Thank you, Don. Don's Field of Dreams Cards is here. I had a great time on the West Coast. Yeah, I didn't even talk about that last weekend. I was in San Francisco for a little while. I was in LA for a little while. My first time on the West Coast ever. Unfortunately, I missed the National because of it, but I did have a great time. Not really baseball related, but it was fun. Max would like to nominate Jeff Wilson to be on Cardroom Live. Now that would be something. I don't know what it would be, but it would be something. Maybe Don Massey. That's a good idea. Mr. John Mangini's here. I want to get to our guests here. You know, Don's in here. I love you, Mike, and I love the Phillies even more after this weekend. Good to see you. I've got a 1941 play ball in hand. This is card number 19, Charlie Gehringer. I'm going to hold this up so you guys can see it. This is a beautiful card. And I have this card thanks to our friend Don from Don's Field of Dreams Cards. You know, when you're in this hobby, over the years, you get to connect with people, and you know, I'm happy to call Don a friend. Don very generously sent me this card a number of years back. It's hard to believe. It's probably been a couple years now. And you know, the great thing is it's a beautiful card. I love the look of it. And every time I look at it, I think of Don because of his generosity and his friendship. So thanks again, Don. I only have one of these, though. I'm ashamed to say I only have one 1941 play ball. But the two guys that are patiently waiting to come in here, they have all of them. And so rather than listen to me talk about 1941 play ball, I thought, why don't we have these guys come in and share their knowledge and their set? So here they come. Mr. Rick Acosta.
Hey, Alex.
Rick, how are you tonight?
I'm good. I'm battling raccoons too.
Really?
Out in California, I've got a bunch of them in my backyard at night.
Okay, well, good. So now I won't be the only one taking the razzing for that. All right. So let's exchange notes on that because
Okay.
I still don't have a solution. And we also have Kurt from Brooklyn, who's in Brooklyn. Kurt, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So Rick has a channel, and Scott, I appreciate you putting this in here. If you're not following Rick, Dodger Card Collector, make sure you subscribe to Rick's channel. Kurt is not a social media dude, but you're in Card Room Live quite a bit, right?
Yeah, I've been in a few times, and it's always fun. So maybe my guest appearance, hopefully it's enough to satisfy.
Right, absolutely. But I think it's important for everybody to sort of hear that once in a while. Like, there are YouTubers and there are folks on Instagram, and there are obviously tons of collectors that are not involved in social media, but it's all good. So we're here to talk about 41 Play Ball. This happened because it was actually when I was on my trip. I'm in a text thread, and I don't remember the context, but like Rick, I feel like you and Mitchell were talking about set building, and
Right.
Mitchell is close to finishing the Diamond Star set, and you mentioned 41 Play Ball. And I was like, that's a fantastic set. We need to talk about that. And then maybe just a few days later, I get a text from Kurt saying, I just finished the set. So I was like, okay, well, this is a Card Room Live session. We're going to kind of jump around. I got a couple questions here, but honestly, we're just going to kind of play this by ear and kind of figure it out on the fly. Now, Rick, you finished this set a while back, right?
Yeah, in February of 2024.
Okay, February 2024. And Kurt, you literally finished this, a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, it would have been the Thursday of the National.
Okay, yeah. And so we're going to get into the details of how you guys built the set, but let me ask you guys sort of a overarching question that you guys will both be able to answer, which is why did you decide to build this set? And it might be, it doesn't have to be some like lofty reason necessarily, but at some point you either realized you were building it or you made the conscious effort to do it. Rick, why don't we start with you? Why did you decide to build the set?
Probably I had just finished building the 1953 top set, and I still kind of wanted to go a little bit deeper vintage wise, and I really wanted something with Joe DiMaggio, Ted Williams, those players that aren't represented, Charlie Gehringer, Bobby Dorr. And honestly, I'd started on YouTube and I started watching you, Alex, and you had built the 1953 Bowman set, all graded. And I thought, what a wonderful idea. And I go, Play Ball is a nice set to start. It's 72 cards. And the funny thing, the irony for me was I can buy two 36 card Penzani display cases and put them up on the wall, and I'll have all the cards on one set. So that's honestly one of the reasons I started.
Well, so you had that foresight, like you were thinking about like, what's it going to look like, which I think is so important because like that's so much of the fun, right? Is to actually get to see all those cards together when you're finished. Yeah,
it's amazing because sometimes I forget. Honestly, I'm looking at some of them right now, but I'm like, sometimes I go, God, I haven't looked at those cards like in weeks, and they're staring at me on a wall.
Right. Kurt, how about you? What was your reasoning behind going after this?
Similarly, I had just completed a larger 50 set, the 54 Bowman set, which continues to grow on me almost every day. Just how beautiful the cards are. Similarly, the size of the set was intriguing, and kind of going deeper into an earlier era of the game was kind of the main reasoning. I also owned only the Gehringer when I first started thinking about it, and then bought my first single just after Thanksgiving of 23, and bought it raw, and it was the Pinky May card number 9, just randomly. because I think it was like $20. And when it arrived in the mail, I was immediately hooked. Like, yeah, I'm going to do this set. I had been considering a shorter, deeper, earlier set, and also the checklist is just so star heavy that I really wanted to tackle it.
Right.
Yeah.
We should probably, because people will leave, we should probably look at some cards before I ask you guys the next question. And this can be totally random. Like if there's some cards that you're excited about or that you feel like are a good introduction to the set, or maybe just, some of your favorites. And Rick, we can start with you.
I'll do 2 cards just because I'll show you the first card from the set that I bought and the last card to finish the set.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
So
that's a good idea.
let's see if I'm always bad at putting my cards up here like this. I think we'll go right there. But my Whit Wyatt on the Dodgers is my first card. I bought this in January of 2018. And I started off buying the 5 Dodger cards first, just because I was working on my Dodger team set. And then I put the set away, or once I finished it, I didn't look at cards, or I didn't look at doing any more play ball for another 3 years. But when I finally did get going, and it was a whirlwind, my last card, which was ironically the cheapest card I bought in the set, and that was George Case.
Wow.
And I'm not ashamed to say this only cost me $45.
Good for you. Yeah.
And I was like, I could never find it. And one day, it was funny because when we were backstage, Kurt mentioned Brian Roth, and Brian Roth introduced me to, I think the website's called Invaluable. And I looked up 1941 play ball. This card was right there, and I just bought it.
Nice.
Finished the set.
Great. So that card was just not chosen for any reason other than you were having a tough time finding it.
It seemed like it would rarely come up.
Yeah.
And when it did, it would go for a lot of money. And then one day, like I said, it was just seen on Invaluable, and I won it for $45. And I thought, some of these other common cards were costing me $100 by the end. So,
Right. Kurt, go ahead.
I love that George Case card, and did realize that he led the league in stolen bases many years, including in 41, which was pretty cool. Probably one of my favorite cards in the set, which I got a great deal on. It was like similarly about $40 or $50, is the Dolph Camilli.
Oh yeah, that's a
great card.
Yeah, it's a really great card, and he actually was the 41 National League MVP in that year. I find this card just to be beautiful, and it's a great copy of it. But yeah, the Brooklyn Dodgers Camilli card here is very cool. And I'm also, I think a lot of you know that I'm also a Gehringer collector. So I do also, Alex, love the Gehringer. This is the base kind of card. It's nothing special, 2.5. But I also couldn't help myself from kind of building multiple cards from the Gehringer single. This is the hand cut paper version. If you hold up to the light, you can actually see through the card a good bit. And this one, when I saw it for auction, I had to have it. And that's the Gehringer auto version.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And there is one more I'll show, which isn't my favorite card, but similarly, it was a Brian Roth thing. I couldn't say no when I saw it and had to win the auction. It's actually Lou Finney, but the back is the Gehringer.
Oh, nice.
The wrong back. So, yeah. So, 4 quote unquote 4 Gehringer cards. I just love those. And the design is so cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Before we move on, Mookie, who everybody knows is the trickster in the chat, is actually saying something serious for once. He can be a serious guy. 1941 was the last year before World War II. Turned out the lights on cards. The last cardboard kids would collect and handle for 7 freaking years. A super important set.
Excellent point.
Yeah. So maybe this is a good lead into like another question for you guys. Is there anything that that you guys can share from what you've learned about the set, either when you were building it or just your general knowledge that's kind of interesting? And it can be, like trivia, Kurt, you were just showing like variations and things of that nature. Are there any sort of quirks to this set or anything interesting about this set in terms of how it was made or how it was distributed?
Yeah, for sure. There are definitely, you have the quirks of cards 1 through 24, have the paper version as well as the cardboard version. Various kind of considerations of those were like sales samples, or they were presented in 42 after kind of rationing hit after the Pearl Harbor. I think it's probably more of the sales pieces is
Right.
kind of where I think it was. There's also some cards. I think the latter, the kind of higher numbers, don't have the copyright date of 1941.
Right.
So people, I think the consideration there is they were probably printed in 42. But yeah, and then of course, a lot of photos were recycled from previous years' play ball sets. But I'll be quiet, Rick.
Right.
That's about 2/3 of the set, I think, was used from 1940. One of the things I really noticed, Alex, and I'm sure Kurt probably did too, I know that when I was buying cards, and especially because I was making videos every time I bought a card, a lot of these guys, as Mookie said, this last set before World War I, a lot of these guys went into World War II. A lot of them never played baseball again, or some of them weren't the same when they came back from the war. You get someone like Pee Wee Reese, who was a rookie.
Yeah.
Luckily, he came back and still had an incredible career in front of them. But even someone, like Joe DiMaggio. DiMaggio's a phenomenal ball player. What would he have been like had he played in 1943, 1944, 1945?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things I saw in some of the research was that Cecil Travis seemed to be the one who came back and was a very different person, different ball player, and didn't really shine once he came back. And he was a shortstop and third baseman for, I think, Washington. And Bill James once said that he was probably the most, kind of robbed by it in terms of his Hall of Fame trajectory. And I looked it up today. He was hitting career 327 before that, which would have been 1 point behind Wagner all time for shortstops. Came back and he ended up with 314, which is still third behind Vaughn and Wagner, but his career was definitely derailed.
Huh. Well, on that note, let's look at some more cards. And Rick, we'll start with you. I'll just leave it up to you guys to decide what you want to share. Okay. And if you have stories, whether it's about the player or maybe about how some of these cards were acquired.
Okay. I'm going to show 3 cards, but the first 2, I noticed our mutual friend Maxa Jackson's talking trash.
Oh yeah, as always.
I'm going to show him some Giants cards first, because he just doesn't like the Dodgers. So the first card I'm going to show you is one of the first cards I bought from the set, and that is the Mel Ott.
Oh yeah. And
this card I bought from Clean Sweep Auctions, and it was one of the first cards I bought after the Dodger team set. It would have been this card and Jimmy Fox. So there's Mel Ott. Now one of the cards I bought right after that is another Giant. That's going to be Mr. Carl Hubble. And I think I won this on, probably on eBay. A lot of my cards I got on eBay, but wanted that card just because this set, I really wanted guys from the 30s and the 40s who weren't, frankly, in my collection. Mm-hmm. So that's why Carl Hubble, Jimmy Fox, Mel Ott, Hank Greenberg, really important for me to have in my collection. And if I'm going to show some Giants cards, I am going to show a Dodger card, especially for Max and for Mark's Dodger cards, who I know is out there. And this is my 1941 play ball Pee Wee Reese.
Nice.
Yes.
And I actually spent part of the afternoon doing research of when I bought these cards and how much they cost and all that. And I was stunned looking to see how much I paid several years ago and what it goes for now. But this was the card I wanted. More than any card on the play ball set, this was the card I wanted, just because at the time I was really focusing on my Dodger team sets. So once I got Pee Wee, it was downhill, at least for the Dodgers. Once I started building the set, unfortunately, there were other mountains to climb, but at least I got this one out of the way.
Right.
Max, what do you think of the card?
He was excited until you showed that Pee Wee Reese and then took it all downhill again.
I think he's in the Bay Area. I need to meet up with him.
Yeah. You guys should do a collab video. Kurt, how about you?
Yeah, so back to Cecil Travis for a second. Everyone knows this. The 41 year was the epic Williams and DiMaggio year. But he actually led the league in hits in 41, is my understanding. I did pick this up really affordably. It's the autographed one. So that's a pretty cool card. But the 41 All-Star game was also just crazy epic, I guess. Story was that this gentleman for Pittsburgh hit 2 home runs to put the National League up twice in the 7th and 8th innings, Archie Vaughan. And then in the bottom of the 9th, Cecil Travis broke up a double play with a hard slide into second this gentleman hit.
Nice.
It would have ended the game, but Cecil Travis's slide, I guess, broke up the double play just before this gentleman hit the walk-off in Detroit. So pretty crazy kind of all-star game that was represented heavily in this set.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just the close MVP race, but also the All-Star game was incredible that year in then Briggs Stadium in Detroit.
Right. Well done. I always love that when there's a way to tell a little piece of history from baseball using those cards.
Yeah, and I will say, the last thing I'll say about Cecil Travis, Feller and others have called for him to be in the Hall of Fame for his play prior to the war. And actually during the war, I guess he also barnstormed a bit and was able to do that while in the service a couple of times. He was able to get out and play. One game, and I've gotten various information on it, was against, he did face Satchel Paige. One article says he was 0 for 3 with a strikeout. Another says he got a base hit and he also struck out. So I don't know what really happened, but they faced each other. There's a lot of photos online of the two, and it seemed like a good guy.
So Deep Hires is saying there's a good book on Cecil Travis, written by Rob Kirkpatrick. And you've got another 41 play ball set builder here. TTM Bob says, I love the 41 play ball set. I only need 3 to complete it. Very exciting.
Those are good ones to look for.
Yeah, I will say when I was asking, speaking of the DiMaggio needed, I was asking around at each table at the National if they had a DiMaggio, and a couple of smartasses said, "You mean Vince or Dom?" So no, I needed the other brother.
Yeah.
It's a good way to sort of eliminate which dealer you want to work with, maybe.
It was sad because I had Joe before I had Vince.
Oh, wow.
Dominic.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, which both of those are sneaky expensive too.
Yeah. You know what? I was actually going to talk about that next. That the play ball set is the only set that features all the DiMaggios. So
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's the only one. So obviously we saw Kurt's DiMaggio, which is brilliantly beautiful. But I still love mine.
Yeah.
So I bought that one.
A great card.
The next two I bought at the West Coast Card Show. Back then it was called the Burbank Card Show. Oops. And there's Dom DiMaggio.
Wow.
And there's Vince DiMaggio. And I bought this from our good friend George, Diamond Yard Sports Cards.
Oh, nice.
Both of them. He was kind enough to give me a good deal on those cards.
Very
I'm
cool.
going to see him in 2 weeks, and he better be ready to make me some more deals, hopefully.
So, guys, let's talk a little bit about the nuts and bolts of how you actually built your set. Graded versus raw, condition, rules that quote unquote rules that maybe you set for yourself. were you doing individual purchases or lots? Like just any sort of insight into like how you approached your build. Rick, we'll start with you.
For me, as I had mentioned, I'd already bought the 5 Dodger cards as part of just building a Dodger team set. Then I started accumulating a couple of Hall of Famers. But then the one big thing that happened was when I kind of decided, let's go for it, was the Collector Connection had an auction. I don't know if they were breaking a complete set, but they were breaking up all these graded cards. They were all PSA 5s, 6s, and 7s. And that day, this is about 3 years ago, I decided to be pretty bold, which back then was bold. Now I probably would have lost everything. That night, I said, I'm going to bid $65 on each card. Doesn't matter if it's Ted Williams or Tommy Henrik. I'm going to bid $65. Let's see what happens. I ended up winning 27 cards.
Wow.
25 of them are in PSA 6. The other 2 are PSA 5s. That really set the ball rolling. And for me, I was trying to keep it, they had to be graded because I was copying you, Alex. And you won't remember this. At one point, I asked you a question, and I said, did you buy all your Bowmans graded? And I think you might have mentioned 3 of them you bought ungraded.
Yeah.
And submitted them. And Terry, TJ Mac Vintage Cards and Nostalgia, was also like, I was talking to him, and he's like, well, just buy this card and send it in. And for some reason, I was very adamant on, I want these cards graded. I don't, everyone talks about PSA all the time. And I was like, I just don't want to send cards to PSA. I'll buy them from PSA graded. But they had to be PSA, no SGC, because I wanted to be in the set registry. Mm-hmm. And like I said, they had to be PSA 5s or 6s, unless your name was Joe DiMaggio.
Right.
Ted Williams, I think I bought his as a 3. Some of the Hall of Famers I had to buy like 1s or 2s, but yeah, they had to be graded, and it was just a real fun set to work on. And I made a goal of trying to buy 1 card a month, and there were times I bought 2 cards a month. There were times that cards would spill in, and I'd buy all of a sudden 3 cards in a month, and then there were days I wouldn't find anything for a month. But I think Kurt or any sit builder can go with this. There's also a point where you're down to 5 or 6 cards. All of a sudden, you're just like, I want this thing off my plate, and you just start buying cards, and you might end up overpaying for a card here or there, but you just want it done.
Yeah, Kurt, how about you?
Rick, that's an incredible story of you won. Did you say you won 27 cards that night?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I had to look at the bill today just to make sure. What was the date and how many cards did I win?
Yeah, I was looking back on mine too. I actually bought 6. I ended up buying 60 cards ungraded, but I did grade every card. So I bought, probably 12 or 15 total already graded. Some of them I do have both the paper and the cardboard. But I began about a year and a half ago and kind of did it fairly quickly. Most of the cards were raw purchases at both local shows, some eBay stuff. And then, most of the stuff was up in White Plains or a couple things at the National, and then a lot of eBay purchases. And didn't have like a target in terms of I'm going to buy all the Tigers first or all the, Brooklyn Dodgers first or anything, but sort of just went through and picked off copies I liked that were not terribly expensive. And I will say when I did get my SGC order back of 60 cards, I was very pleasantly surprised they weren't 2 and 3s. Many of them were from the 4 to 7 range. I did have I have the Tom Bridges in a 7, which I assumed was just a trimmed card when I sent it in, but it was allegedly not. So it just looks amazing in the slab. But I'm pretty agnostic on SGC, PSA. But I just like the price point and the speed of getting them back at SGC, and I think they do a good job with like everyone says, I think they do a really good job with the with grading vintage. But yeah, I think the set was fairly quick, but I wasn't it wasn't haphazard. I was
Right.
pretty picky on what I was picking up, and I will say in terms of the raw cards at card shows, I did quite a bit of buying from Stan, who sets up here in White Plains and also at the National. I'm sure many of you know who I'm talking about. Has a huge setup at both shows and is very, very reasonable on pricing. So most of those that's kind of how I built the set. A few of them, like the DiMaggio, the Williams, the Jimmy Fox, I picked up already graded from. I picked up the Fox actually from Brian, but the others from different dealers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One other quick question, and we should probably look at some cards again. What are both of your thoughts on upgrades? Have you done upgrades? Would you do upgrades? Do you have any general? Because I've got some strong feelings about the concept of upgrades, but I'd love to hear from you guys when it comes to building a set. Where you stand on that.
Yeah, I think one question I think is being asked in the chat a couple of times. No, I do not have a Venus flytrap behind me. Fair. I do have some plants behind me, but yeah.
I was really trying to let Max just like stew with that, but okay. All right. Good to know.
Kind of cool if I did, but there is one card I would love to upgrade, and I have yet to do so, and it's this one. It's just my crummiest card in the set, just because, like you said, Rick, I wanted to finish the damn set.
Yeah.
I couldn't find this card in like the 4 or 5 price that I thought was really worthwhile. Like I was like, I don't want to pay $600 for a 4.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen a couple now for half that, so I'll probably pick one up eventually. But I guess philosophically, Alex, did you ask like a deeper question there? If you're going to upgrade?
No, I'm just curious. No, if you did or plan to do any upgrading.
I think like Rick though, I did win up after I built. I had some similar cards like these, like 5 or 6 cards that I had 2s that came back from SGC. I upgraded a handful of those to 3s in an auction where I won all of them.
Oh,
so I was like, oh, those are great. I will happily bid $90 and win them all.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would say for me, I'm one of those who, once he buys a card, it stays in his collection forever. Yeah, there's a side of me that thought about upgrading, but I'm going to be really nitpicky here. I told you guys that I wanted to be in the PSA set registry. And when I was done, I saw where I ranked, and I was like, I don't know, 24, 25. And I remember thinking, wow, there were 24 nicer collections than mine. And I was just kind of like, whatever. But it made me realize like upgrading would have to be for me,
Right.
for my sense of,
right.
I want a nicer card, not because I want to up my total in the PSA set registry and try to get from 25 to 22.
Right. Especially because
I don't see it happening for me, at least.
Yeah, especially because, not to get into a whole grading discussion, because I don't really want to, but I know for a fact that I've got cards in my 53 Bowman set that may have a lower grade that look way better than whatever was given a 7, 8, or 9 of that same card. So do I really care if my rank is lower on the registry, even though I think my set looks nicer than the one that's ranked higher, right? So, yeah, I think that's sound logic. And Rick, I'm in the same camp where like I spent so much time trying to find the right card to begin with that like I'm more likely to stick with that than to look at it and say, gee, I could have done better. It's like, I was really selective as I was getting them. So I don't know that I would do better, going back and like revising that.
At the end of the day, and I hear a lot of people on YouTube say this on their channels, and I would say this specifically about my Joe DiMaggio. It's a PSA 1, and I love it. It's not going anywhere.
Right. Right.
Yeah, that card's special. Period.
And there are certain cards like a Joe DiMaggio where like it's great, and no matter what it's been graded as. Max has a great question. I don't know if you guys are prepared to answer this question, which is your least favorite card and why? Looks like you guys are ready.
I saw it. I was going to respond, but go ahead. Kurt, do you want to go first? Or?
No, I have to think about mine a little bit. That's a good question.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I have a least favorite card, but I have a card that annoys the crap out of me. And it's a really nice card. It's a really great player to have in my collection. It's a beautiful card. It is this Johnny Vandermeer card. The reason that it's my least favorite is because I could never find it. And I overpaid. I paid $200. I'm not gonna. I'll be full transparency. I paid $250 for it. The second I bought it, all of a sudden, the next few weeks, all these Johnny Vandermeer cards started showing up all over the place, and people were buying the cards for $75, $120. Like I paid $250. So it's a great card. I love it, but I'm also very frustrated.
And it's funny because he's smiling at you, just rubbing it in. Kurt, how about you?
It's a question that I hadn't thought about, so I'm a little off here. But I don't love the yellow background on the Buddy Lewis card. It's not a great copy of the card. It's similar to the background. Sorry, Brian, to the Greenberg.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
But what there is actually something cool about this card, that it is the corrected reverse negative from the 40 set. He is actually a left-handed hitter like this 41 show.
Oh, okay, cool.
That was pretty cool to learn when I kind of like gave the card like when I saw it. But that's a pretty cool kind of tidbit about that card, that the 1940 card is the reverse negative error.
One thing that we haven't really talked about are all the quotation nicknames, which I think are awesome because that's not always. I'm like, it's certainly advantageous of that time period, like well into the 50s, of like players having nicknames like that and having them on the card. But to me, like they really stand out in this set. Do you guys have any favorites?
I like that Ted and Joe are in quotation marks.
Right.
They're not nobodies.
Yeah. I honestly I have two that I actually was going to share. Harry the Horse Danning.
Yeah.
I guess he was coined this off of some character in some Broadway play. And I like the background a lot.
Yeah.
And I believe he plays for your Phillies, Alex.
Oh, really? Cool.
Well, no, take that back. He plays for the Giants. I apologize. Plays for the Giants. And then the next one I was going to show, this always reminds me of my buddy Terry, TJ Mack Vintage Cards and Nostalgia. That is Indian Bob Johnson.
I love that card.
Love this card. And look, doing some research on him, the one thing that I love is he is one of only two players who started in the majors after he turned 27 years old and got 2,000 hits. The other guy is Ichiro Suzuki.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So, and this guy's not in the Hall. So I'm surprised.
Yeah. I guess with quotation marks, two of my favorite cards in the set, both Tigers. The background color on Pinky Higgins is can't really see it very well there, but the sort of the sunset shot at the top of the card is pretty. And then the inside the stadium card is Soupy Campbell.
Oh, cool.
Love that one.
Yeah, that one is maybe my second favorite behind the Gehringer in the set, just how it looks.
Nice.
Oh, the Gehringer's your favorite?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The the upper deck bunting just gets me again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah. You stole my thunder at the top of the show, Alex.
Well, I guess
And I have it shown here
card,
too, and I'm like, oh, great, I
yeah.
can't show it. We both showed it.
I forgot you had that, Alex. That's fantastic card.
I want to bring up something Max, who asked about the least favorite card. He says you cannot love every card when you do a big set.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I disagree, Max. I think you can love every card, but his point is taken is that, like, there's going to be some cards that you like more than others, which brings me to another question I wanted to ask you guys as collectors who have built sets. And this is not the only set that you guys have built. You guys have built other sets. One of the famous reasons for not building a set is, and it's a good reason, is the fact that you're going to have to purchase cards, acquire cards that you're not necessarily drawn to otherwise. Like, I wouldn't get that card otherwise. I never would have even looked at it, but because I'm getting this set, I need to get that card. Do you guys have a thought about that? Did you have a logic to that? Did you just not pay attention to that? What are your feelings on that?
Yeah.
I guess I'll go. The thing is, when I was building this for me, and granted, maybe this set would be different than if I was building a 1967 top set where there's 598 cards.
Yeah.
But these are 72 cards. Each player has a story. Each player, honestly, if you look them up on Baseball Reference, they all played at least 10 seasons. And I just feel there are times when I make YouTube videos, and Alex, I'm sure, or everybody here would say it, all these players have stories to tell.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them have played in college football or went on to become U.S. senators or became managers, whatever. They've all got a good story to tell.
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah. And I like I will say I do like the almost duration, but the size of the set versus like the 40. I love the 1940 set too. But in addition to the Joe Jackson card that I can never afford, like, that's a big set, right? That's 200 plus cards, and this one's 72. So yeah, I didn't feel, it didn't feel like a marathon at all. Like some of the 55 Bowman felt like that. Some of the cards in that set, I was like, I really don't want to spend $65 on an umpire card right now. But yeah, I think the finish line was this is more of a 10K versus a half marathon or marathon type of set. But yeah, there's tons of stories, and there's so many great players that either are knocking on the Hall of Fame door or are solidly in.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. And, one of the things that kind of bums me out a little bit is, I think set building has kind of been on the decline in general for a while, but it seems to more and more be the case. And there's, again, plenty of good reason for people to shy away from set building, like we just talked about, maybe not wanting to get all those cards. Also, just the financial difficulty of it. I mean, like, I know Geez Mikey, who I think of as a set builder, recently made a video where he's like, yeah, I don't know how much of this I'm going to do anymore. And for him, I mean, I was shocked to see it, but then, he made the point, like, I've built many of these sets several times over, so it's not like it's his first rodeo. But at the same time, it's a little sad to think that card collecting has dropped set building a little bit, or not dropped it, but maybe made it harder. Is like, looking back, because I mean, like, Kurt, you literally just finished this. Rick, it's been a little bit of time since you did, but if you were to do this now, would you do anything differently, or would you do it?
I mean, I never say never. I would do this set again, or just add to this one that I've built with maybe the trying to complete the paper and cardboard variations for 1 through 24. Wow. Which would be a bear, right? And it would be difficult to do with, like, some of the cards like Williams and some of the big Hall of Famers, Fox, Greenberg, etc. So this set to me was just as fun, if not more fun, than the first and the two larger Bowman sets, or longer Bowman sets.
Right.
I don't think I'd do anything different that I did for Play Ball, but I will admit, I don't think I could do this again for another set. I recently, in the last few weeks, I picked up Diamond Stars Hank Greenberg and Lefty Grove. And I know Mitchell's on here, and Mitchell asked me if I was going to start a Diamond Star set like he was, and I'm like, I don't think my heart's into it. Cards are just expensive too. It
Yeah.
just feels like they're getting really expensive, and the cards that I paid $60 for on Play Ball might cost twice that for Diamond Stars.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, I was actually talking to Mitchell at the show an hour after I bought the DiMaggio, and I was like, "Now what do I do?" You know, and
I felt like that.
we've been texting about it, and I was like, "There's so many things. There's so many great sets out there. 53 Topps, 53 Bowman, 52, 51. I mean, I love the through 57 Topps. I'd like to do that run, but there's only so much time and money and all that fun stuff. And there's other wrinkles too, like 86 Fleer basketball and 1955 Topps All-American football. But I haven't started any of these things in real kind of efforts yet.
And for me also, the cynic side of me, I'm several cards away from finishing a 1961 Topps set. And yeah, there is a side of me that's like, I'm taking a break from sets for a little while. But the cynical side of me also says the people that say set building is dying. I'm not talking about you, Alex, by the way, but there are people that I've seen that talk about set building is dying. I'll say they've never built a complete vintage card set in their lives.
Right.
Yeah. And you can't be cynical when you read the back of the Dom DiMaggio card and it says fast. He scored 81 runs himself and covers a tremendous amount of ground in the outer gardens. Right? Like that's poetic.
Yeah.
You're not finding that in the back of the 2025 Topps Series 2. This relic was not worn in a real game, right? That's awesome.
Awesome.
I mean, yeah. I mean, clearly, I'm a set building advocate. I mean, every one of these sessions starts with a card that can sometimes be somewhat random, right? But I love all the cards in that set, and I say it a lot. Like, as much as I'm enjoying collecting now, nothing will ever compare to the feeling I had building that set, and that's something that I think every collector should experience at least once. I wouldn't build the Bowman set the way I did then because I couldn't, because PSA and grading has gotten so out of control in terms of financial requirements, but I would build it raw in a binder, and I think I would have just as much fun. I mean, part of the fun of building that set for me was trying to be really particular about condition and things like that. But even getting some beaters and putting them in a binder, I think beats not having built a set at all.
Yeah. Rick, do you have sets that are raw as well?
Yeah, I've got all the 70s, several from the 60s, several from the 50s. Most of this is my only graded set. All my other sets are graded or ungraded, and their cards are in binders.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
Definitely.
Guys, we're running short on time, so let's throw up some more cards. Any bangers that you haven't shown yet, or like favorites?
I got to do this one because you guys got to show the Garinger. My other favorite card from the set is the Bobby Doerr card.
Right.
Love this card.
Right.
Couldn't not show it. And then the last one I'll show, because this is the only guy from the set I actually met, and that was Tommy Hendrick.
Oh, cool.
I met him at a baseball card show maybe 25 years ago, and he was signing his book. So I got to meet him and talk to him about Gary and Charlie Keller. It was really fun to get to meet him. He was older, but he still had some good sense on him.
Nice. Kurt, how about you?
I'm going to show these two and then one other banger, I guess. But the Gene Moore and the Chuck Klein, they are the two cards that have the same photo for 39, 40, and 41.
Oh, wow.
And then there's then three others. The Babe Dahlgren, Mo Arnovich, and LP Fletcher have three unique photos: 39, 40, 41, which is kind of cool. But then in terms of just a banger, the Jimmy Fox is pretty.
Oh yeah.
You got to show that off, definitely.
Yeah, that one is pretty special too.
Great. All right, guys. Well, let's see. We're coming up on 9 o'clock here. Stay tuned for 4 Collectors. And I want to say thank you to Rick and to Kurt for both jumping on here and for sharing all their cards and thoughts. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you, Alex, and great chatting, Rick.
Yes, Kurt. Stay backstage. I need to get your number.
Okay.
Yeah. So everybody else, thanks for joining in. If you enjoyed this live stream about nothing, give it a thumbs up. It makes a difference. And we will see you next Sunday night with another session. Again, if you want to get in touch or have ideas, email me, bowman53channel@gmail.com. Take care of yourselves out there. And again, Rick and Kurt, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night, you guys.